Yes. So, in the last 8, 9 lectures, we have been talking about the introduction of NWP, data system, the atmospheric data system, acquisition, quality control, etc. Okay. And yesterday we talked that a lot of data is received routinely every day on real-time basis at the operational centers like NCMRWF, IMD, ECMWF, NSEP, and others. The data quantity is like several hundred gigabytes per day. And if you just count the number of data, I was showing you yesterday that there are lakhs and lakhs of data, maybe crores of data. Like now, yesterday I was telling you that the radiance data, for example, typical number of radiance data per day. Now, I was saying the statistic of 2013, there was 29 lakhs approximately. And as on today, it can be much more than that. So all these data, they keep on coming through GPS, through FTP mode, and they are all stored in the data bank, which is segregated into different types depending on the type of the data. Like all the survey data is put into one category. All the upper air data like radiosonde balloons, profilers, drop zones, pilot balloons, etc. They are all kept into another category of the data. Then aircraft data is kept into another file. Then satellite data also depending upon what kind of satellite data is that, whether it is satellite wind, satellite temperature, satellite moisture, satellite radiance. So they are all categorized into different types and then stored into the data bank. Okay. So normally in such centers, suppose like NCMRWF, we make the forecast twice a day, once at 00 UTC and second at 12 UTC, right? Forecast in the sense the long term forecast for the next 10 days. Now, primarily it is made at 00 GMT and 12 UTC, right? But the model keeps on running round the clock in the sense that to go from 00 to 06, model is run for 6 hours only. And from 06 to 12, model is run for 6 hours only. But at 12 UTC, it is run for next 10 days. Then again, from 12 to 18 UTC, it is run for 6 hours only. So for each cycle, in this case, we are talking about 6 hourly cycle because we are talking about the large scale data assimilation, the global data assimilation, which is normally 6 hourly. We are doing the mesoscale data assimilation or convective scale data assimilation, then the frequency can be even larger rather than assimilating the data every 6 hourly. Now it can be assimilated every 3 hourly or even every 1 hourly, depending upon our computer power, right? So let us say, for example, for 00 UTC, now in order to make the analysis of 00 GMT or assimilation at 00 GMT, now all the data which is received now around 00 GMT, which is generally taken as some cutoff time, because all the data, because it is coming from all corners of the globe, this data is received from all parts of the globe and all kinds of data. So all the data may not be possible to arrive right at 00 GMT, for example, right? Some data may be delayed, right? And in fact, when we say that, we launch the balloon, for example, say at 00 GMT, we launch not exactly at 00 GMT, but we launch it half an hour before or 1 hour before sometimes, so that by 00 GMT, the radius on flight is almost halfway through, so that the time of observation is representative for that time, right? So what I mean is that the data has a window for arrival, and generally that window we set at plus minus 3 hours. Data cutoff window, we say data cutoff window, we set at plus minus 3 hours. That means the data which arrives within that time limit, they're all supposed to be representative for that time centered in that duration, right? So 00 GMT, that means up to 3 GMT, whatever data comes up to 3 GMT, we consider that and we process that, decode, because everything is coded form, right? I was telling you that all the data which is received is in a coded form of the WMO code, right? So the data has to be decoded first of all. As soon as the data arrives, immediately the decoder is running in the background round the clock. In such centers, there is a data decoder, and which has all kinds of decoder of all types of data. Satellite data will have a different decoder. Even inside the satellite data also, the decoders will be so many types because satellite data itself is of so many types. And different satellites may have its own format, right? Say INSAT data will have its own format. NOAA satellite will have its own format. GOES satellite will have its own format. Or Japanese satellite will have its own format, right? Because when the satellite designers, the data designers or data observers or coders, when they write the code according to their convenience. So when we receive the data has to be decoded according to the format in which it has been coded. Okay. For all the standard meteorological observation, the code is WMO code. But for others which are non-standard like satellite data, there is well, for that also there is a code actually in WMO format. So all the data has to be decoded as soon as it arrives, and as I said, the decoder keeps on running in the background in the computer, say at NCMRW in the supercomputer. In the background, it will keep on running. And as soon as the data comes, it is immediately decoded. And after decoding, then the data is passed on to the data bank, right? The OBS store, I was telling you OBS store. So it is passed on to the OBS store, right? So whatever data arrives between plus minus 3 hours of the cutoff time, then those data, then we start processing for quality control. Okay. So then we quality control that, and after the quality control, then we start making the analysis for that time, which is valid, supposed to be valid for say 00 GMT in that case, right? So after we have done the analysis, no, in the sense that we have done the objective analysis, brought all the data under the regular breakpoint of the model. Then using the first guess forecast of the last 6 hours as a background first guess, then we assimilate the data into the model and march forward for the next 6 hours, right? So that is the way we assimilate the data or analyze the data after decoding and quality control. Okay. So this is the flow. Now we were talking about the quality control yesterday, and we talked about it partially, but let us try to complete it today. We're saying that the data generally has 3 types of error. One is the random error, okay, other is the rough error, and third is the systematic error. Now, as I said yesterday, the random errors are non-systematic. They don't have a regular cycle or regular feature. If it is systematic, like if there is an instrumental error, then the same error will persist every day. If the thermometer, for example, has an error of 2 degrees centigrade, the 2 degrees centigrade error will appear whenever that observation is taken. So that will be a systematic error. And if we know that this is a systematic error, or this is the bias, then we can very easily correct that. For random errors, we cannot correct that. Right? They are non-systematic. Then the random errors can also occur because of the other factors which can be meteorological, like turbulence, for example. Right? Suddenly there can be some mesoscale vortices, and well, actually that also is very tricky thing. For example, if some station, because we are sitting, say, in the comfort zone of the office in the air conditioned room, but what is happening at a remote station somewhere in the earth, we don't know, right? And when we are saying that we make the buddy check, neighborhood check, temporal check, etc., etc. Then we say that by doing all these checks, the data must be consistent. But sometimes the data may not be consistent. For example, whatever was there 1 hour ago, reported by some station somewhere in the remote place of the world, after 1 hour, possible that there can be a drastic difference between the data. Generally, we don't expect that. And when that can happen? That can happen when, suppose there is a system, some mesoscale system, which we are not seeing from here. So that becomes a tricky thing, right? If there is a strong turbulence, if there is a dust devil, for example, dust storm, something like that, some system, then data can drastically change. Now, we have trained the system, we have trained the model to check that, look, whatever was there 1 hour ago, it should not be drastically different now from that now. Or whatever data is observed, say at a point which is 50 kilometers away from here or 10 kilometers away from here, this data should not be drastically different from that point. This time, for example, something which is observed at Azmer and something which is observed in the campus, Suraj campus. We expect that it should be similar to each other, it should be consistent, but I do not know. Maybe Azmer is having some kind of eddy circulation, some kind of a mesoscale vortex, and that can affect the observation in Azmer, which will be too different from the observation on the Suraj campus. But because we have not trained the model for all the situation, and model does not know what is happening in Azmer at present. So model will think that the data which is reported by Azmer station is wrong because it's too different from the data observed in the Suraj campus. Right, and so the model will tend to reject the data of Azmer if it is too different from the Suraj campus. But it does not know that maybe some thunderstorm, some strong downdraft is taking place in Azmer. So that becomes a very tricky situation. And in that process, sometimes we may lose some very crucial information also. Because in reality, something is happening, something is taking place in Azmer, which we do not know, model does not know. And model thought that there is something wrong in this observation or in the reporter. And so it rejected the data and put the data into the yellow flag to be analyzed and examined later on. So in that situation, it's likely that we may miss some very important information, some very crucial observation. That is likely, and that can happen sometimes. I mean, not a regular feature, but it can happen. There is a possibility, right? And also, the random errors are independent of each other, right? They are not related to each other, are independent, right? They don't depend upon each other. Then the other kind of error is the rough error. Now, rough error has a definite cause. I mentioned that now, for example, instrumental error, which will be same all the time. And all the instruments have their own error characteristics. And that error characteristics is known by the manufacturers of the instrument. Say, for example, radar. In India itself, we are using some 4 or 5 types of radar, right? The oldest one we started using, that was installed at Chennai and Kolkata. That is a Gammatronics German radar. Then we started using the Metastar, American radars made in China, Metastar. Then we started using ISRO radar. Some of the stations in India are ISRO radars, like at SAR, Sriharikota, the ISRO radar shared by both ISRO as well as IMD. Mumbai radar is ISRO radar. Bhuj radar, I think also maybe ISRO, not sure. But Cherrapunji radar is a ISRO radar, right? So manufacturer is different. One is Gammatronics, that is German. Other is Metastar, which is American, made in China. Third is our अपना base में बना हुआ ISRO radar. Then there is also one Japanese radar in Srinagar, Kashmir, Toshiba. So I mean, all kinds of radars are there. So the manufacturers of these instruments, when they manufacture it, they know what is the instrumentation error in that. And when they supply the radar, when they supply the instrument, then they also provide the error characteristics, the known error for that instrument. So when we do the quality control, we always have to have the information about the instrumental error to be able to check the background. Now, what is the observation with respect to the instrumental error, and accordingly we make the adjustment for that. Right? So they are the instrumental errors which can persist in time. And I have also told you the interesting story yesterday about the sometimes some manual error or instrumental error also reported by some corners in the world, and that station or that country may not be aware of that, but then that is pointed out by the modeling center like ECMWF. Pointed one station in Africa. Very interesting story which is quoted always as an example, right? So the rough error, and then rough error can also be because of the processing. When I said that as soon as the data arrives, then we do the decoding, right? Data is decoded. But everything after all है क्या है? सब software ही तो है. No, it's all based on the computer program only, right? There can be sometimes decoding error also, error in decoding. No, और कई बार ऐसा होता है कि I said that all the codes which are designed by the WMO, all the codes, the first record of the code is the identifier. Each identifier की भाई, it's like ID. तुम हो कौन, right? किस टाइप का डेटा हो तुम, right? So there is an identifier ID data ID. So decoder will read that ID, and then it will know that okay, ये फलाना data है, ये इस type का data, it is coming from some surface station, or it is coming from radar, or it is coming from satellite, or wherever. So by reading the decoder ID, I mean ID of the observation, decoder will know that ये इस type का data है, right? But कई बार क्या होता है कि decoder में ID ही missing है, मान लो ऐसा होता है. Suppose ID itself is missing. अब क्या करेंगे, right? The ID itself is missing in that record. बाकी सारा ठीक है लेकिन ID ही नहीं है, right? तब तो हो गई मुसीबत. So in that case, the data is flagged temporarily to be examined later. बाद में उसको पढ़ेंगे, तो सारा characteristic पढ़ करके then we also I mean software can know after later on कि भाई ठीक है इसमें इस तरह का characteristics है, बाकी record ठीक ठाक है, सिर्फ इसका ID missing था, तो ये इस टाइप का डेटा है. कभी कभार लोकेशन ही मिसिंग होता है. No, I was telling you that GPS sound, for example, or even the aircraft data which comes, it has to tell us the location, कहाँ पे वो aircraft fly कर रहा है, किस latitude longitude पे है, किस altitude पे है, and all those informations are supposed to be in that data record. Suppose if that record is missing, ऐसा होता है, then we cannot identify कि data है कहाँ का, right? And that is again very difficult to know that, but only after lots of processing and trying to match further, then we can identify that okay, ये data is altitude का है, क्योंकि suppose if it is reporting a temperature of -60 degrees centigrade, और -60 degrees centigrade कहाँ का हो सकता है? It cannot be at the surface. Then we start thinking okay, the -60 degrees centigrade temperature can exist at this altitude, so we fix up the altitude for that. But those things take time. So easily we don't do that immediately, we just flag the data, okay, to be investigated later on. So like that, decoding error can come. Then communication error, I was telling you yesterday that while communicating the data, because it is passing through so many channels, right? I was explaining you the GTS channel, right? How the telecommunication is linked worldwide. WWW, I was telling you, right? WWW. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Very good. Sure. Tell me if you just lose my contact, because I do not know whether you are listening to me. So, okay. So, WWW, right? What is WWW?
World Weather Watch.
Yeah, exactly. So the World Weather Watch is like a spider's net, right? This is just connecting the whole world through telecommunication network for communicating or exchanging the meteorological data. So during the telecommunication, after all, there is all digital only. सब कंप्यूटर का खेल है, right? 010101 कहाँ पे क्या मिस हो गया कुछ पता नहीं, and that will add to the communication error, right? So all those things have to be removed, filtered out. Then there are systematic errors, generally small, but it can persist in time or space, right? And as I mentioned that even instrumental errors will show up in the systematic errors. It can also occur because of the insufficiency in the measurement device. That is instrumental error basically. Or procedures designed to take care of that. For example, retrieval algorithms. Now the SAC Ahmedabad, right, Space Application Center at Ahmedabad, is the one which is responsible for developing algorithms for satellite data. जो भी satellite launch होता है इसरो का, before launching, they develop the sensors, they calibrate the sensors, develop algorithms on how to retrieve the data from that sensor, right? So the algorithm is all developed and tested, for example, at the Space Application Center, right? But there can be errors in the algorithm itself. Algorithms may not be perfect. So that will show up in the procedure designed to take care of the data observation, right? So that it will go as a systematic error, because whatever is the error in the algorithm, that will remain the same throughout the time. So systematic error, all right? So now what are the ways to filter them out? And now the best among them is the so-called complex quality control. I showed you one paper reference yesterday, right? One paper published in the Journal of Applied Meteorology by Collins et al. At NCEP. And that is a nice paper. I told you that you should all read that paper and try to understand. You can understand the paper properly. That means you have understood the data quality control or the complex quality control of data, right? So how do we do? Well, there are generally 3 to 4 ways of quality control or quality controlling the data, right? Correcting the data. One is the so-called sequential method, right? Sequential method of quality control. And this is a traditional passing of quality control through different stages, right? Name itself is sequence. So we go in sequence, we have certain well-defined procedures and each data of each station. And by the way, whether I told you or not, each station has its own identifier. In fact, each country also has an identifier data block. Whether you know or not, I don't know. For example, all the synoptic data which is received by India or transmitted by India, not received, transmitted by India, is starting with 4 to 42, because we are divided into blocks. The whole Earth or globe is divided into different blocks, right? And that block is an identifier of that country, for example. Now, India is in the 42 block and 43 block also. There are 2 blocks assigned to India because India is a big country. So 42 and 43 block is assigned to India. So whenever a data identifier starts with 42 or 43, anybody in the meteorological service will know that this data belongs to India. It has come from India, right? Similarly, I think Nepal is assigned as 44. Pakistan also has some, I don't know, 42 or something like that. Bangladesh. Each country has been assigned a block. And if the country is very big, then there can be more than one block, like India, China, USA, right? Big countries. So there can be more than one block also. So as soon as the decoder sees that identifier block, then it will know that this data has come from that country. And then there is another 3-digit. First 2 digit is the block number, and the next 3 digit is the station number. So there are 5 digits. Now, in the decoder, in the coding, the WMO code, each record has got 5 digits. So the first 5 digit indicates the data location, identifier of the station. So for example, let's say New Delhi, right? Whatever observation is reported from New Delhi, New Delhi again has got many stations, right? But there is one station which is standard and which is supposed to be GTS station. For example, Safdarjung Airport. Safdarjung Airport, have you heard of Safdarjung Airport? अनिस ने सुना होगा,
Yes, sir.
गीतेश ने सुना होगा,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right? So IMD's main observatory is at Safdarjung Airport, which is close to Mausam Bhawan, Lodi Road, right? Then it's another major station is at Palam. There is an airport, Indira Gandhi International Airport, major airport, right? And there are many others. There are so many AWS, about 20-25 तो AWS होंगे दिल्ली में चारों तरफ. Especially, a lot of AWS were installed at the time of Asian Games. Asiad हुआ था ना, कब हुआ था? इस साल हुआ था? नहीं, Commonwealth Game हुआ था अभी 2010 के आसपास हुआ था शायद Commonwealth Game.
Yes, sir.
You remember that? Yeah. So 2010 के आसपास जो Commonwealth Game हुआ था, around that time, many AWS were installed in Delhi, especially at each stadium, because we had a challenge to give very accurate forecast for each of those stadiums. And it was a challenge because the games have to be accordingly started. Suppose अगर heavy बारिश हो रही है, तो then outdoors games cannot be played, right? And we had a challenge to give accurate forecast for stadium wise. Talkatoda Stadium. Have you heard of Talkatoda Stadium? Those from Delhi.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Talkatoda Stadium, Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, right? And like that, there are so many stadiums in Delhi. So for each stadium, Indira Gandhi Indoor Stadium, IP Stadium, right? Tughlakabad, I mean, there are so many stadiums are there. So for each stadium, we're supposed to give the forecast, and that was hourly forecast to all the players, to all the countries which were participating in the Commonwealth game. Required a big challenge to be able to forecast accurately, hourly, at such a resolution. And I might have talked to you that the biggest challenge comes during the 26th January parade, when we have the parade over Raj Path in Delhi, from President House to India Gate and to Lal Killa, and also on 15th of August, which is coming shortly. In those two important days, the IMD is supposed to provide very accurate forecast right over the Rajpath in a very thin strip. You can just imagine Rajpath क्या है? आगे road ही तो है वो, right? The thin strip road at such a small interval from President House to the India Gate to the Lal Killa. The forecast has to be provided very accurately on hourly basis. नहीं तो वहाँ पे VVIPs are there, dignitaries are there, and so many display of all the weapons, and all the jhankis, the cultural programs are there. So everything can get disrupted, interrupted. Therefore, government has to make all the arrangements prior to the event, before the event, well in advance. Suppose if there are 200, 300 dignitaries sitting all on the very, very important dais near the President House, and if there is suddenly a heavy downpour of the rainfall, and people are not unprepared for that, you can just imagine that many of those dignitaries are all foreigners. Many of them are from the embassies, and there is a VVIP invitee from some country, like sometimes the President of the United States, Obama, had come earlier, right? Sometimes the Putin comes. It's like that. Very, very important dignitaries come. So we cannot allow them to get drenched in the heavy rainfall, right? And nor any of the dignitaries which are there, all the embassy representatives and our own people, ministers, prime ministers, president. So we have to make all the arrangements for that, right? Therefore, say for example, simple example is that at least that many umbrellas have to be purchased. कम से कम उतना छाता तो होना चाहिए, isn't it? So government has to take care of all that well in advance, right? And then you also know that at the end of the parade, there is Air Force rather not two, but a squadron of flights. They fly from Jodhpur, and then they come over the Rajpath, and then upar se they shower the flowers. Have you seen that? Showering the flowers from the
Yes, sir.
Exactly. Flower petals वो बरसाते हैं और ऊपर में आसमान पे they make all kinds of design in the sky. They make the Tiranga, Janda, the flag of the India. They make there's a squadron of flights. They make the Tiranga Janda in the sky. But all that is possible only when the mosam is good, when the weather is good, right? Otherwise, there can be some danger. And for that, now, can you imagine how low they have to fly? Such a aircraft, they have to fly so low altitude. The lower the altitude they have to fly, more dangerous it is for them, right? The civilian aircraft can never imagine to fly at such a lower altitude, right? Only at the time of landing, they can fly, come down to that level. But the Air Force people, they are all well trained and the aircrafts are all made for that. Today, by the way, all of you may be knowing that Rafale is coming to India. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Exactly. It is coming from
Yes, sir.
Abu Dhabi.
France.
Right, from France, made in France, but coming today from Abu Dhabi. So there are very specialized aircrafts, right, combat fighter aircrafts, and they are designed for all kinds of making gymnastics in the air, sorties. They can fly very low, but all that is possible only when the weather is favorable. Even the satellite launching, suppose every month almost some rocket or some satellite is launched from ISRO's Sriharikota range, right? Satish Dhawan Space Center. But for every launch, the weather is so crucial. And therefore, ISRO has its own small division for weather forecasting. Of course, IMD and NCMRW support them. Now, we used to support them, provide them when they didn't have their own capability. Then NCMRW, IMD used to provide them the support for giving them the accurate forecast every half an hour forecast for the entire troposphere, because it's very crucial. The initial stage of the rocket, as long as it is within the troposphere, it's very crucial for them. Any small mistake can completely damage the whole effort which has been made for years and years. Maybe knowing that when the satellite is designed, it is a years of hard work at the lab where it is manufactured. 3 years, 4 years of hard work of the scientists, and then crores and crores of several hundred crores of rupees which is invested in designing those aircrafts, satellites. And if there is one small mistake, and the entire effort of hundreds of scientists for 3 or 4 years and hundreds of crores of rupees can be just lost. The satellite can just go and fall into the Bay of Bengal. Everything gone, right? So we can't afford to have mistake in that. So everything is precisely taken, and that's why you all know that there is a countdown, and this countdown starts several hours before the actual launch of the flight of the satellite, right? And during the entire countdown till it is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Till then, anything can happen, right? Including the weather. If there is any possibility of a bad weather in the entire troposphere, immediately the message is transmitted, and the forecast, and then the satellite rocket has to be aborted. The launch has to be aborted, right? Because we cannot afford to lose such hard work and so much of money and time. So I'm trying to emphasize that weather is so crucial, right? Weather is so crucial, and I was telling you all these things in the context of the parade at Lal Killa, the 15th January August celebration at Lal Killa, parade over the Rajpath, of course. So for all these things, we have to give very accurate forecast. And I was telling you about this AWS. A lot of AWS were installed in New Delhi during the Commonwealth game time, because we had to give forecast for each of those stadiums, right? So yes, and I was telling you all this story in the context of the station number, the identifier of the station, right? So say New Delhi Safdarjung Airport, which is the main observatory of New Delhi, is assigned a number called 182, and I said that the block 42 is assigned to India. So whenever the observation is reported from Safdarjung Airport, New Delhi, then it starts with 42182, the code 42182. So any country, when they look at the data and they read that 42182, that immediately they will know that, oh, this data is from New Delhi. Right? This is data belonging to New Delhi Safdarjung Airport. right? And like that, each AWS has an identifier, so that we know that what exactly it is. And that is because all they are fixed in the space. All the surface observatories are fixed in the space. All the AWS are fixed in the space, right? All the Reduzone launching sites are fixed in the space. But what if this space is not fixed? It is moving. Then what? Then we have to have the GPS, right, to identify the location. For example, the aircraft data. We have to have the GPS to locate its position. Or even the satellite has a GPS because polar orbiting satellite. Well, I mean, it has got its own ways of orbits and so many things, which all comes under the retrieval part. And when you start, retrieving the data from satellite, you will learn all those things now. How you have to, take care of the orbits and how you can plot the data so that what you are plotting is for the right location. Otherwise, you will plot the Indian data over USA, the African data over America, the Japanese data over China. It can go haywire, right? We don't know the location of the data, then that can happen, isn't it? And if the data is mislocated, then everything will be all wrong. Everything, all the interpretation will be wrong, isn't it? Because you will be interpreting the American data over India, Indian data over China, Chinese data over Russia, and so on, right? So therefore, the location indicator identifier is very, very important, right? So all these things have to be done in the quality control stage of the data processing, right? Then in the sequential data, we also do the traditional passing of QC, okay, through different stage. Then rejecting non-physical or impossible values, right? You understand the meaning. Some values if they are impossible, and that impossible value has come because of some errors which got added in the communication. Then the quality control part of the model that will immediately identify that and then it will reject it. Okay. Then the buddy check. I told you about the buddy check earlier, right? Buddy check is the check between two neighbors, right? And also there is data thinning. I'm probably going very slow. I hope that I should finish this today, quality control part. Okay. So you have a class after this, right? Immediately after this?
Yes, sir. Elective
Yes.
class.
Elective class, I see. So I'll try to finish. I've got only 10 minutes now. I see, 10, 15 minutes. So, so therefore, yes, buddy check, that is basically a neighborhood check. And I was telling you about the data thinning. Right? Data thinning is, for example, say the radar data, right? Radar data, I told you that every 10 minutes they're scanning away, right? The whole sky is scanned every 10 minutes. And when they retrieve the data can be very, very high resolution. It can be every 1 kilometer, it can be every 2 kilometer, which is not practical from the surface observatory. But we can have it from the radar, from the satellite also, because depending on the resolution of the satellite, we can have very high resolution data. But suppose, because all this data you need to process and assimilate in the model, right? But if your model itself is very, very coarse, if the resolution of the model is say 50 kilometer, 20 kilometer, तो 20 किलोमीटर के मॉडल रिजोल्यूशन में 1 किलोमीटर का डेटा रिजोल्यूशन लेकर क्या करोगे? टू मेनी अननेसेसरी इंफॉर्मेशन, बहुत ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन तो ठीक नहीं है ना. Unnecessary, you will load the computer with so much of the computations and processing, etc. Right? So unless our resolution of the model is also very high, we don't need so much of observation, both in time as well as in space. क्योंकि अगर हम assimilation कर रहे हैं every 6 hours, our assimilation cycle is 6 hours, for example, and we are collecting the data every 10 minutes, 15 minutes. क्या करेंगे लेकर के? वो सब रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा, isn't it? So that is called data thinning. We just keep only that much of data which is actually required by the model. Data thinning. Right? Climatological check. Climatological check, you know that now. For every variable, every observation, we know what should be its climatological value. And that observation should not deviate drastically from that climatology. Otherwise, there is something wrong. Unless there is something very specific, like I was telling you, some system, some turbulence, some mesoscale vortex, etc., etc. So all these things are done. Okay, body check, climatological check, temporal check. Okay, then so first stage sequential. Then another way is the Bayesian check, quality control, Bayesian method. Now in this method, we have to have the prior knowledge of the probability of certain rough errors, right? And that I told you that when we buy any instrument, then the structure of the error structure of that instrument is provided by the factory, the manufacturer of that instrument, because the factory people, the manufacturers know that this has the error characteristics of this instrument. I got the plus minus. Suppose if it is accurate surface pressure, for example, they know that because they will all calibrate in the laboratory before they sell the product. They will know that the barometers or the sensors for the pressure has an error of plus minus say 0.5 millibar or plus minus 0.1 millibar. They know that because it cannot be perfect, it cannot be exact, accurate. Right? So they know the error structure. So they will provide these error characteristics to the people who need it now. For example, med people. हमें तो क्या, हम तो एक थर्मामीटर जाके खरीदते हैं डॉक्टर की दुकान में, हम मेडिसिन की दुकान में थर्मामीटर खरीद के ले आते हैं. हमें थोड़ी पता होता है कि कितना एरर है इसमें. We just take it for granted that whatever thermometer we have purchased in the pharmacy shop, it is perfect, it is giving good measurement, but it may not be so, right? And even if it is an error, having an error of 0.1, 0.2 degree, it doesn't matter to us. Right? Depends on what for you are using it. Right? So in the Bayesian quality control, we have to have the prior knowledge of the probability of the certain rough error, along with knowledge of error properties of the data to determine the probability of each error. Okay, so this is the Bayesian way of correcting the data error. Then the next one is the CQC, the most important one, complex quality control. Okay, and in this CQC, we check everything in the data. For each data, we check everything. Starting from its instrumental error, now all those other errors, plus the characteristics of the atmosphere which the data is supposed to follow, or they obey the conservation rules of the atmosphere. Every data which is collected from all points over the earth, they must obey the principles of the atmosphere, the laws of the atmosphere, laws governing the atmosphere. So everything is checked in this CQC, right? So CQC not only detects error, but also tries to correct. So if there are some minor corrections required, CQC cannot do also that, because it knows that generally this is supposed to be the value, because in the CQC, we are also taking the help of the model, right? And I said that we take the first guess from the model forecast of 6 hours. So we have the knowledge of the model, and the models are all designed in such a way that it obeys all the rules, laws of the atmosphere, right? So it knows that what should be the characteristics of observation at a given time and at a given location in the space. So based upon that, if some minor correction is required in data, it will do that. It corrects also. The purpose is not to reject the data which differ from the background, because background error is basically the first case from the model, which is last 6 hours forecast. So if some data is drastically different, then the system will tend to reject the data. But the idea is not to reject all that, but to allow as much as possible. And of course, there is a limit. We cannot allow everything, otherwise, our forecast will deteriorate, analysis will deteriorate. So, but as much as possible, we try to retain the data and not reject it, try to utilize it. And I was telling you the story that when earlier days, 10, 15 years ago, when our radiation data used to be rejected by HCM, WF, and the NCEP, because our geopotential height observations were wrong, although winds were okay. But we were using it because we knew that if we don't use our own data, then who will use it? And simultaneously, of course, we are trying to correct the problem, right? So we try to accommodate data. Then there is a man-machine mix-up. Now, after all, when we do the checking by computer programs, algorithms, after all, they're all programs. But manual checking has to be also done eventually to make sure that everything is correct or as much as close to the reality as possible. We are trying to seek the truth, right? What is the truth? That's what actually philosophically, so data assimilation is basically like a philosophy, reaching the truth. They're trying to reach the truth. What is the true observation, the true temperature, the true value of pressure? That's what we are trying to measure, to know, right? But the truth value is very difficult to reach because of the errors, right? So it's like philosophy of the life, trying to reach the truth. That means you're trying to reach the God, right? Truth, right? Very difficult. Then there is a hydrostatic check, right? And you know what is hydrostatic, right? Because you know that the large-scale atmosphere is in hydrostatic balance, right? So if the observations which are collected from all over the world, if the observations do not show up that the atmosphere is in balance, in hydrostatic balance, that means there is a problem. So the CQC checks that after processing all the observations, after correcting all the observations, whether the hydrostatic balance is maintained or not. If not, then there is a problem and it has to be corrected. There is a baseline check, right? That is again something similar to the climatological check. Incremental check, again something related to the temporal check, right? Like whatever was there 1 hour ago should be similar to that now. The horizontal statistical check, again, as I mentioned, you neighborhood check, whatever is happening in, say, Ajmer or Jaipur should not be too drastically different from Suraj campus. Then there is a vertical statistical check, right? Vertically also it must be consistent, like it must maintain the balance, like the hydrostatic balance. And there is a lapse rate check, right? Lapse rate check, because the lapse rate, adiabatic lapse rate, super adiabatic lapse rate, right? You know that?
Yes, sir.
Right, exactly. So if suppose the temperature profile reported by some station, temperature and moisture profile reported by some station, is showing a very high super adiabatic lapse rate, it will immediately cause artificial convection if it is not real. If the observations are not the truth, then it will start creating artificial convection, which will again cause a lot of problems. Right. So lapse rate check is made to ensure that the lapse rates are real. They're not unreal super adiabatic lapse rates. Right. So these are the things I just summarized in brief about the complex quality control. But to know more in depth, you have to read that paper which I gave you the reference yesterday, right? And try to download the paper and read it. So with this, I have completed the first lecture of the syllabus, right? The first lecture was Introduction to NWP, Data Acquisition and Quality Control, right? And we have completed this first lecture almost in 7 to 8 classes, right? Barring 2 classes which were for practical. So the first lecture is now complete, okay? Now you see that on the slide, the second lecture, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, up to 8, they are well-known topics, right? Numerical methods, finite difference techniques, numerical prediction models, equivalent barotropic model, governing equations in Cartesian coordinate, primitive equation models, two-dimensional barotropic model, baroclinic model. Do you remember these topics? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, we have studied these things
Yes,
last
sir.
semester, right? Last semester in modeling of atmospheric processes, all these topics we have studied, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right,
sir.
and you must remember, it's not that कि पहला पढ़ गए तो भूल गया कोई बात नहीं. No, that's not happen because they are very important topics. No, as much as it is a part of the modeling, it is also part of the NWP. So, although these things will not discuss in detail in such an elaborate way as we had discussed in last semester, but we have to refresh this, isn't it? All these topics have to be refreshed. And then here I give you the task of refreshing. You listen? Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So what I will give you is that now the task. These lectures from 2 to 8, because we have already studied in the last semester. So I will assign each one of you one topic, and you have to discuss that in the class here online. You will read the topic at home and present that in the class here in about 15-20 minutes, not like 1 hour. So एक दिन में we can have 2 or 3 presentations on 2 or 3 topics. Is that okay to you? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. That way, you will have the opportunity to read yourself all those things which we have read last semester, recall, refresh, and learn more and more, which you might have not have learned in the past. So you will read yourself and present all these topics from 2nd to 8th lecture. So I will assign each one of you one topic which you will present in the next class onwards till we complete this 8 lectures. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
very good.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Very good. So in my next slide, I'm going to distribute the task. Here is the task. Now Asna
Yes, sir.
will present on numerical methods finite difference in about 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir. Yes.
Anis will present on numerical methods spectral technique. Adira, are you there? Yes, you will present on
Yes,
numerical
yes,
prediction
sir.
model, Google model. Vibhuti, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you will present on numerical prediction model, regional. Okay, Adira will present on global and you will present on regional. Gitesh, are you there?
Sir.
Okay, you will present on equivalent narrative model. Anita Sri,
Yes, sir.
yeah, you will present on governing equations in Cartesian coordinate system.
Yes, sir.
Najmeen, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you will present governing equations in sigma coordinate. Rahul, are you there?
Yes,
Rahul?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, you will present on the primitive equation model. Sayoni,
Yes, sir.
are you there? Sayoni?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you will present on 2D barotropic model. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Shibam, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
you will
sir.
present on baroclinic model, 2 level. We have taught last semester. Shweta, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you will present on tendency equation. We discussed that last semester, remember? So you will present on that. The last one, Avni, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you will present on omega equation, right? So these are the tasks, these are the talks distributed to each one of you because we have discussed this in last semester. And in one day, maybe 2 or 3 students will present. So that we have got 12 students. So about 4 to 5 classes will complete these topics, right? Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Very good, very good. So we don't have to repeat all the lectures which we have already covered in last semester. And after this is completed, then we will proceed to the next topic, which is the syllabus, right?
Yes, sir.
So very good. So this completes our first part of the topic, and we end now. We will stop now for today. Any question you have?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, in the last slide of the quality check one, there was one incremental check. What is that exactly?
Incremental check. Incremental check is something like your temporal check, right? How much the increment? See, when we do the analysis, what we do is we make a difference of the observation from the first guess for each location. Say, for example, some station is reporting some observation, right, at this time. Okay, and we have got a first guess. First guess is the background values, which is coming from the last 6 hours forecast from the model, right? So that the two things will not be the same, right? They will differ. And that difference is indicating basically the change of the weather or change of the atmosphere in time. What has changed in the atmosphere in last 6 hours, for example, that is what is indicated there. When we take the difference of the two, that it indicates the change or increment. The increment can be plus or minus, right? Change can be plus or minus. So temperature can increase or decrease. If there is suddenly a thunderstorm now, then there will be a lot of ground drafts, and that will cool down the temperature. The air will be chilled, temperature will be cool, right? So there will be drop in temperature. So this temperature will be lesser than the temperature which was there 1 hour ago. So increment will be negative, right? But this increment, as I said again, it cannot be unimaginary increment. Suppose if the first guess says something which is based upon the model guess, which is supposed to be consistent, assuming that the model is good, but the observation is showing very, very different value. Increment is suppose if the pressure drop of suddenly a 20 millibar pressure drop within last 1 hour, will you accept that?
No, sir.
You will not accept, because you say that the increment is minus 20 millibar, and that cannot happen. Well, that can happen in very extreme circumstances. If there is a cyclone passing by over your head, over your location, the cyclone is passing, there can be a sudden drastic drop in the pressure. In the eye of the cyclone, the pressure is the minimum. But normally the cyclone does not pass everywhere. And we know when the cyclone is passing and where it is passing, right? So except for those places, those drastic difference or drastic change or drastic increment will not be there. Okay, that is increment change. Any other point?
No, sir.
Okay, so very good. Today I will mail you this PowerPoint also, and then Maritasri has a task to convert my handwritten notes into the.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, very good. So thank you very much. I stop the recording. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay, sir.